Hello and welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for August of 2023. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas, and I'm in San Francisco, California.
Let's take a look at what's happening this month for you. Well, Gemini, Juno starts the month in the sign of Cancer, traveling along through your second house. And she's been there since last month, possibly bringing to mind how your finances connect and intersect with your partner's finances, whether your partner is a spouse, like a long-term relationship, maybe somebody that you live with, or a co-parent, that you have some financial, connections with, or whether they are a business partner that you have some financial connections with. Either way, this is a really good time for reviewing your own financial situation and asking yourself, how do you maintain some sense of separateness and ownership of monies that are just yours and are not to be merged with any one other person or group? And how does that help your relationship to be stronger? So this is a really good time for those kinds of preoccupations. And then Juno is going to move on into your third house in the middle of the month, right here around the 15th. And the third house is pretty full that day. You can really see that this is a very active arena of life, especially in the first half of the month. And this is the domain of thoughts and ideas and communications and learning. And so while Juno is here, you might find yourself wanting to focus on the communication aspect of your relationship. Juno is a goddess of committed relationship. As I mentioned before, she can apply equally in your personal life or your professional life. And communication is such an important aspect of relationship. Now, I happen to know that Julia is going to tell you all about Mercury and Venus retrograde when we get to her time. So I got to say, I'm really happy that Juno at least is direct, which does give you a crack at having communication go well this month, and forming some clear lines of communication with your partner, so that when those other planets, go through their retrograde kerfuffles, that at least you've got some clear lines of communication where you can sort things out. Now, next thing I want to talk about is Uranus, and he's in your 12th house. And this is not terrifically fun, by which I mean that Uranus is kind of a disruptive influence, and the 12th house is rather famously known as a domain of the unconscious. And while Uranus is traveling along your 12th house, there may be some things that come up from previously unknown places where you just weren't aware of them, and they come up and they just absolutely disrupt your life. Now, Uranus takes a long time to pass through any house, usually about an average of 7 years. And you may be wondering, why look at this now? If Uranus is in this house for 7 years, why is it important to think about Uranus right now? And that's because Uranus is going to go retrograde at the end of the month and spends the beginning of the month slowing down, preparatory to going retrograde. So let's just get a good look at that. There it is, the little red RX symbol that means Uranus is retrograde. When Uranus goes retrograde, he's going to spend really the rest of the year retrograde, and takes us on an inward journey to understand and to develop new ideas that could get us out of the pickle that we're in. And Uranus likes to disrupt the old mental boxes that we've placed around things. This particular Uranus position being in the 12th house might signal ideas coming not just from outside the box, but really um, from some very unexpected quarters where you were just completely not paying attention to that thing, and then whoops. So watch out for that, and you may spend the rest of the year trying to sort out what happened there and reacting to it. That wouldn't at all be surprising with a Uranus retrograde period. And then the last thing I want to talk about right now is Ceres. She's traveling along through your fifth house. And this one is so funny, you know, Ceres in the fifth house, because Ceres is so practical and so grounded. And here she is in one of the most impractical of domains. This is the domain of fun, pleasure, play, hobbies, trips to Vegas, entertainment of all kinds. It's just a rollicking house of fun, and Ceres is a rather serious goddess. So I would say, while Ceres is in your fifth house, enjoy forms of entertainment that are very physical, stuff that you can do physically, like go down to that, go downtown to that studio where you can, paint pottery and then buy it and take it home and use it in your own kitchen. If you have hobbies that are very physical in their nature, that are, where you craft stuff, this can be a lovely transit for doing all those physical things and generating something really lovely. But there is a caution about this transit, and I'm not going to let you go without letting you know what it is, which is that Ceres has to do with money and finances. She's in Libra, which loves beautiful things, and she's in your fifth house, which might make you feel like you want to get a little bit spendy with luxury items that you don't actually need. So have that caution right there. Let's see, Ceres is going to be in this house for the rest of the month until mid-September. Hey, Julia, what's up with Venus, Mercury, and Mars for the Geminis of the world?
Well, hey there, Gemini. Let's start with Venus because she starts the month retrograde. This happens about once every 2 years, and Venus is the relationship planet. So when Venus goes retrograde, it is a time of relationship review. Now, this is happening in your third house. This is a house of communication, of neighbors, of learning. And Venus going retrograde in this house might mean that you are reviewing your relationship in terms of how you guys communicate together. Do you guys communicate well? Is there work that you could do? Are there things that you don't say that you wish you could vocalize a little bit better? Venus going retrograde in your third might be another way you might be feeling this transit is whether your partner helps you fit into your community, makes you feel like more of a part of your community, because the third house is the house of local surroundings. Now, by August 13th, Venus is going to conjoin the sun exactly. We call that relationship clarity day. So you might get some insights, you might get some revelations into these questions around mid-month too. And since the third house is also your local neighborhood and community, Venus retrogrades are known as a time of having exes come back into your life. So you might actually run into one of your exes as you're walking around in your neighborhood. That could easily happen. Now, Mercury, the planet that rules your mind, goes retrograde too later in the month, but early on, it starts off slowing down, but still direct. And this is all going to happen in your fourth house. This is a house of family and home. It also represents your past as well. So, well, with Mercury slowing down and then going retrograde on the 23rd, you could be thinking a lot about your domestic situation, really reviewing it. Are you happy with where you're living? Are you happy with your family setup? Are you getting along well with your mom and dad? Do you want kids one day? Is your partner somebody you would like to have a family with? These could all be things you're thinking about with Mercury retrograde here. Maybe should you buy or sell a house too? You could also be reviewing your past a lot with Mercury retrograde in your fourth, since the fourth represents, your childhood, your young adulthood as well. Finally, Mars. planet of action, planet of drive, is also in the fourth house too with Mercury. Mars is a little bit crunchier to deal with. It's a planet where wherever we have it, we can feel very driven, but where we can also run into some conflict. So Mars in the fourth house could mean that you're very sort of driven on the domestic front. Maybe you're cooking a lot. Maybe you're doing a lot of housing projects. Maybe you're having confrontations with people at home, like your roommates, your partner. This transit can also affect your parents, how you're getting along with them. Now, if you're not getting along well with your parents and you can find some project or do some work with them in some way, maybe even do something active with them, that would definitely help out this transit a lot. And then by August 27th, Mars enters your fifth house. This is a house of fun, games, children, and creativity, where you're going to be feeling very driven in the pursuit of fun and games at the end of the month. This is also a house of dating. So if you are single, you could get kind of annoyed by somebody that you're dating right now. And if you do have children, then they might be more of a source of frustration too by the end of the month.
Mm.
Hi, Jamie here. Horoscopes and moon videos are fun, but they're also really general. Did you know we run live workshops monthly and that you can get questions answered about your own chart there? This month's topic is how to get passion and commitment in one blissful package. In this workshop, you'll discover your two different types for love and for marriage, and how to resolve them in a single, passionate, and committed relationship. If you haven't found lifelong love yet, you might want to consider attending this. This workshop is expressly for our Tier 2 Patreon subscribers. It's easy to sign up at the Patreon link in the description below. I'd love to see you there. Now let's get back to the video.
Well, I've got not just 2, but 3 moons to tell you about, beginning on August 1st with the full moon in Aquarius, which lands right here in your 9th house. We're calling this one Big Egos Disrupt Group Nourishment, because that moon in Aquarius is pitted against the sun in Leo, known as, the big personality. Moon in Aquarius might be pulling for the needs of the group, and sun in Leo might be pulling, towards, how can an individual get more of the attention. So sun in Leo landing in your 3rd house and moon in your 9th, this is the axis of communication. And so some of those themes might be wrapped up in this moon as well. Are you being heard? Do you need to say that thing again? What does the audience think of what you said? And then also, because the 9th house is a house of growth and expansion, there's likely to be those kind of themes wrapped up in this moon as well. But, don't be the one that sucks all the air out of the room, because that's never fun. Then we have the new moon in Leo happening in the middle of the month, right here on the 16th. And that lands in your 3rd house, again, bringing the emphasis back here to the realm of communication, something which is near and dear to your heart. And new moons are great times for planting seeds. This particular moon we're calling Mending Rifts, Not Making Them, because it has a square to Uranus in it. And I was talking about Uranus before. It can absolutely be a disruptive influence. And just when all these placements in the 3rd house were getting your communications off to a great start, Uranus could really throw a monkey wrench into the proceedings. So I got to watch out for that. And then also recognize that the planting of seeds is a wonderful thing, and you might get some amazing new ideas coming forth during this moon, and they might be very creative and expressive as well. These things are, after all, placed in Leo. There is plenty of harmony, really more harmony than stress in this moon. So it's not like it's necessarily a cause for worry. And even though, Venus is right there in with this moon and retrograde, I think that you can have this be an occasion for some better communication based on the ideas that you're bringing forward, which may be very new and unexpected, but you'll be able to phrase them, I think, in a good way. And then the last moon I want to tell you about is coming on the 30th. And that is this new full moon right here in Pisces with Saturn opposite that Sun in Virgo here in your 4th house. And this moon lands in your 10th house, which is the domain of career and authority. It's the business house, if you will. And this moon we're calling pressure to establish boundaries. Now, the moon in Pisces is not good at boundaries. And having this full moon in Pisces land in your 10th house might even put you in a situation at work where you are being tolerant and supportive and flexible and adaptable, potentially too much. So I think it's a good thing that Saturn is here, helping you to be more solid and to really hold your boundaries with some integrity. Now, this is also a signal of Saturn's passage through your 10th house, which it's doing right now. And Saturn, by the way, loves to be in the 10th house. And so that aspect of this moon is actually terrific. Even though Saturn is retrograde, I wouldn't worry about that over much. And Saturn being in your 10th house says that you're really hard at work on career matters and advancing and building a good, solid reputation. And with Saturn passing along through Pisces, that really should also be characterized by some high ethical and spiritual standards too. And this moon might test you on those a little bit. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the seasonal change. Around mid-month, you will see that there is this large grouping of planets in Leo in your 3rd house, which is why we've emphasized communication so much in this horoscope, because that area is very full and busy. So you might find that your mind is very active in the first half of the month, and very much wanting to follow every curious question down every highway and byway that it can possibly pursue. And then as the month moves on, the sun will leave your 3rd house and move on into your 4th house, where it begins to bring some emphasis and shed some light on the domain of home and family, domestic life, heritage, and roots. And wherever the sun goes, we want to shine the sunlight of our high quality attention so that things can thrive and flourish there. And so this being the domain of home and family, this is a really good time period to pay high quality attention to family members, to put some high quality attention on your home itself, to fix that, that little thing that's been broken for a while that's, making you feel bad about your home. This is the time to attend to that and to shine the light of consciousness on that and to make your home so much more enjoyable and cozy during the 30 days that the sun is passing along your 4th house, starting on August 23rd.
Well, that's all for today. If you love Pandora Astrology's free and informative horoscopes, please do hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share our horoscopes with your friends.
You can find out so much more about how this month's transits affect you in very personal timing in our monthly Patreon workshops. Find the link in the description below to get started. Enjoy your summer, and until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos.
Bye-bye.